Okay, so today we're going to be talking about inequalities. Um, your section should be 4, sorry, it should be 2.4. Creating and solving inequalities. So, like an equation, an inequality compares two expressions. Unlike an equation, they're not necessarily equivalent. So, it compares two expressions using what we call an inequality symbol. So, if you remember from 8th grade and in 7th grade, inequality symbols are these right here. You have your less than symbol, your less than or equal to symbol, and the only difference between these two is that with less than or equal to, you can actually include the starting point. What do I mean by that? So if it's x is less than 7, that means x is anything smaller than 7, but not 7. We can't include 7. X isn't 7, it's just smaller than 7. Whereas x is less than or equal to 7, we would be able to include 7 in, and you all know that already. When we're graphing this, we'd represent less on a number line. We'd represent less than or equal to with a closed circle, shaded circle, which means that we are including 7, and we would represent less than with an open. Same with greater than or equal to. With greater than, it means that the number on the left-hand side is going to be bigger than the number on the right-hand side. And greater than or equal to just means that we could include our starting point similarly to less than or equal to. So although your book isn't going to require it for this section, we are going to go ahead and plot some of these inequalities on a number line. So as I prefaced in the previous slide, anytime we have less than, we're not including our starting point. So that's why we have this open circle. That open circle tells us, hey, anything to the left-hand side is a response, is an answer, but we can't include the actual starting point, and that's why we have an open circle here with less than, and same with greater than. So if it was x is less than negative 4 and 25 hundredths, we would be starting at negative 4 and 25 hundredths, but we'd put an open circle. And because x is smaller than anything below negative 4 and 25 hundredths, we would shade the left-hand side of this number line, and that would represent that we could have an infinite amount of responses to the left-hand side of negative 4 and 25 hundredths. So it's similar to greater than. So this would be x is greater than negative 4 25 hundredths. And same thing, we'd have an open circle, but we'd be going to the right because x in this case is going to be anything bigger than that original number. And the only difference with these two on the right-hand side is that because it's less than or equal to, we can include our starting point, which would be 4 and 25 hundredths, and that's why it's a closed circle, shaded circle, and that represents that x can actually be equal to 4 and 25 hundredths. So that is it. So when you get a word problem, here's some common terminology that you might see that would represent an inequality. So with the greater than symbol, you'd see is more than, is greater than, and you could read through some of these. Same with greater than or equal to. This one right here is important at least. It messes some people up sometimes. This is going to be greater than or equal to. Sometimes people confuse that for less than or equal to, but no, this would be greater than. Same with at most. At most is going to mean less than or equal to. So, for example, you must be at least 72. Not 72. I'm sorry. You must be at least 18 years old to vote. So that would be an example of greater than or equal to. X would have to be over 18 or equal to 18 to vote. And at most you must be at most 72 inches tall to ride a roller coaster. So that's a horrible inequality, but it would be x is less than or equal to 72 inches. So I guess someone who's 10 inches tall would be able to ride that roller coaster. I don't know. But at most would mean less than or equal to, where at least would be greater than or equal to. And some other ones that I want you to write whenever we're talking about a budget. So Mr. Ramos has a weekly budget of $75 or something like that. What would the inequality be for that? So with budgets, we're going to be looking at less than or equal to. So anytime you read a problem that deals with budgets, it's going to be less than or equal to. So if Mr. Ramos has a budget of of $75 a week, that would mean I can't spend over $75. So $75 or lower. So it would be less than or equal to. And something you might read or see in word problems, if we're talking about a fundraiser, most of the time it's going to be greater than or equal to. So I want to raise $75 in my fundraiser. So obviously I could raise more than $75 and I'd be happy with that. But I want to get to at least $75, and that's why it would be greater than or equal to. So put these in your notes, because these are ones that you might see, and these would mean respectively greater than or equal to or less than or equal to. So how would we solve these? Similarly to the way we would solve equations. So in this case, we have this problem here. What we would do here first is just distribute the -2 first. So that would change our equation to -1/2 x minus 4 is greater than or equal to 5. And then you'd solve this the same way you'd solve a regular equation. You'd add 4 on both sides. Get -1/2 x is greater than or equal to 9. And then you would divide by -1 or 1/2, or multiply by the reciprocal, which in this case would be -2, and you get -18. And we're going to talk a lot about this in class, but this is the only real difference when we're solving these inequalities versus an equation. When you solve an inequality and you multiply or divide both sides by a negative number, you'd have to flip the inequality symbol. So instead of it being x is greater than or equal to -18, it would be x is less than or equal to -18. Okay, so please try to pause this and solve it on your own before you actually hear me giving the explanation and hear me doing it. So here it says Sergio needs to buy gifts for 8 friends. He wants to give the same gift to all of his friends, and he plans to have the gifts wrapped, each gift wrapped for an additional charge of $1.50 each. If Sergio spends at least $70, he will receive free shipping on his order. So write and solve an inequality to determine how much Sergio needs to spend on each gift in order to receive free shipping. Okay, so Sergio's buying a certain gift for 8 friends. Well, not a certain gift, but he wants to buy gifts for 8 friends. Okay, he wants to give the same gift to all of his friends, so I guess it would be a certain gift because it's going to be the same gift. And he wants to know how much money he has to spend on the gift in order to receive free shipping. So we'd have to define our variable first. So D is going to be the cost of the gift, which we don't know yet. We don't know how much this gift has to cost yet in order to receive free shipping, and that's why we're going to set up an inequality. So we know that he's going to buy 8 gifts. Okay, so it'd be 8 times the cost of the gift. And we know that it has to be at least $70. So normally with equations, we had an expression, we had either an expression equal to another expression, or we had an expression equal to a total. Inequality is the same thing. Sometimes we'll have we'll be comparing 2 expressions, and sometimes we'd be comparing an expression with a total. In this case, it says at least $70, so it looks like we're going to be comparing an expression to a total, and it's going to be a total of $70 at least. It's one of your key words there. It's going to mean greater than or equal to. And if we look at this, it says that not only does he want to buy the gift, but he is going to gift wrap the gift, and that's going to be an additional charge, so that's going to be addition of $1.50. But if we stop the expression here, if we just leave it as 8D plus 1.5, what we're saying is that it just costs $1.50 to wrap the gifts no matter how many gifts they buy, which would be incorrect. It says it costs $1.50 per gift, each gift that they buy. So we'd have to multiply the 1.5 by A2, which we could do by just adding parentheses. So then we would just solve it. We'd use the distributive property, and let me pause the video for a moment to move things around. So we distribute the 8, and we would get, let me go with white, 8D plus 8 times 1.5 would be 12. It's greater than or equal to 70. Okay, what would we do next? Well, we'd just like if this was a regular equation, we would subtract each side by 12. We'd be left with 8d is greater than or equal to 58, and then we would divide by 8, and that would leave us with our answer, which is d is greater than or equal to 7.25. So what does this mean? That means the cost of the gift, which I erased it, but when we defined the variable d represented the cost of the gift, must be at least $7.25 to receive free shipping. Okay, so it could be exactly $7.25. It could be $8. It could be $9, 20, 30. So as long as it's over $7.25. How would we graph this? So because it's greater than or equal to, we'd have a closed circle right at around 7.25, and the gift can be any amount over $7.25. So we would shade that right hand side. That's how you would graph it. Make sure you know how to do that. Closed circle because it's greater than or equal to, and d can be any number that's bigger than $7.25. All right, again, go ahead and pause the video and try to work this out on your own if you can before watching me do it. So here it says the home cleaning company charges $312 to power wash the siding of a house plus $12 for each window. Power cleaning charges $36 per window, and the price includes power washing the siding. How many windows must a house have to make the total cost from the home cleaning company less expensive than power clean? Let W be the number of windows. So I've circled and underlined some things that are important. So here they've already defined the variable for us, W, which is going to be the number of windows. I'll go ahead and rewrite it. W is the number of windows. And this would be the type of inequality where we'd have two expressions that we're comparing with an inequality symbol. And that's what I underlined in green. So the first expression would be the home cleaning company, which I'll just put HCC for home cleaning company. And the second expression would be the, what is it called, power clean? Yeah, power clean. So I'll just put PC for power clean. And then it says less expensive. Okay, less expensive. They want a home cleaning company to be less expensive than power cleaning. So that would be just less than symbol. Not less than or equal to, just less than. So what goes on this side? Well, HCC, the home cleaning company, charges a constant $312 to power wash the siding, plus, that'd be plus $12 for each window. Each rate word, that would mean 12W. And that's your expression for the home cleaning company. Whereas power cleaning, they don't have a separate cost for the siding. It's included, and they just charge $36 per window. Okay, so now we would just need to solve it. So let me move things around, and we'll go ahead and solve this. So again, we'd perform the same maneuvers, the same steps we would if this was a regular, if this was an equation. So we'd want to get the variables on the same side, the variable on the same side. So we'd want to move this 12W to the right-hand side. And we'd be left with 312 is less than 25W, okay? And then how would you, 24W. Sorry about that, it was supposed to be 24. And then you would just divide by 24 on both sides. And 312 divided by 24 is 13. Now, with inequalities, we normally like having the variable first. So how would we do that? It's not like an equation. We can't just switch things around. We'd have to actually do something to the inequality symbol as well. And the easiest way of doing this is just reading this backward. Think of this as from W's point of view. So if we're reading this from W's point of view, it says W is greater than 13. So that's what how this inequality would read. So that means that we'd have to have 13 windows to clean before the home cleaning company is less than power clean. And that's how you would solve this. And if you were graphing this, we'd have an open circle, 13, and we would shade everything to the right of 13. So 13 or more not 13 or more, more than 13 windows would be what we would need in order for the home cleaning company to be less than the power cleaning company. This we're not including 13, and that's why we have an open circle on 13. And that's it.